Washington, D.C. was the crime capital of America. Now after 12 days, it's a totally safe city. Everyone's going out to dinner, they're going out to restaurants. Your wife can walk down the middle of our street with or without you. He added, in Melania's case, without you.
Yes.
So
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Westminster to Washington, the podcast that looks at the US as a dystopian, authoritarian hellhole with a government that wages war against its own people and has us on this side of the ocean going, yeah, that's what we want at the next and indeed last general election. So, my name's Matt Johnston. I host a show called The Interesting Times, and boy, are they. And joining me this week, and indeed every week, Andrea Bridges-Smith. Andrea, hello. You're still
hello.
there, so that's good news. How are things going? He says, knowing that the answer is going to be badly.
Oh, all quiet on the Western Front, right? Oh, no, sorry. Actually, couldn't hear the screaming because my eardrums have blown out from, all the screaming.
Yeah.
No, it's been a bit of a mixed bag this week. On the one hand, Jimmy Kimmel is back on the air after being yanked off last week. But also Donald Trump berated the entire world for an hour. So, what was it that you were saying about the Times being interesting again?
Yeah, they're definitely that. I mean, are they anything else? Now, over here, we're actually still cleaning up after your big, beautiful bozo turned up last week. We certainly gave him the full honours. Not sure what message that's sending to the youth around the world, really. It's a question of, hey, kids, forget all that, working hard and be honourable crap. Just screw over everybody and you can become president.
Well, at least it might stop them from making a gaming channel on YouTube.
Those guys are the worst. Right. So Starmer did, while Trump was here, I have to say, he did do one thing, which was to recognize the state of Palestine, along with Australia and Canada. So good news, although it's unlikely to bring about the ceasefire that's so desperately needed in the area.
Yeah, I mean, good on all of them, but it is a little bit like handing a teddy bear to someone whose country has been bombed back into the Stone Age. I'm sure that the Palestinians are grateful for the support, or at least they would be if despair and agony weren't taking up all the air in what's left of the room.
In further sort of good news, France and Saudi Arabia have held a summit to look at the future of Palestine. And in fact, France has also recognized the state of Palestine. But two countries boycotted the summit. Now, Israel was one. Andrea, can you guess the other one? What am I saying? Of course you can.
It's always us these days, isn't it? Also, I have to say, I don't know why they're bothering to discuss the future when Trump has already come up with such a wonderful plan, and it has 500% more casinos than the French-Saudi plan. So, something to think about.
He's such a classy guy, isn't he? Yeah. So anyway, the Orange Man baby addressed the UN. You've already alluded to this, Andrea. Over to you.
Yes. So it was a long, rambling speech, Quelle surprise, where he started out by lamenting the broken teleprompter as if the teleprompter was ever going to keep him from rambling incoherently for an hour. But before he even got up there was an incident with the escalator. So, Matt, have you seen this video?
I haven't, but it stops about halfway up.
No, so what's happening is the escalator is working fine, and then Melania and Trump get on it, and then right after they both get on, it comes to a screeching halt, like our economy. So the, the metaphor writes itself there, but they were saying that, like, oh, we bet somebody like did this on purpose. And honestly, I agree with them. Somebody probably did. And to them, I say, chapeau's off to you.
Yes. Can we have stopping escalators, all around any escalator he gets on? Because it'd just be funny, wouldn't it? Especially
Exactly.
if it's going down.
Yes, exactly.
Again,
Well,
like your economy.
Exactly. Consistent. So there were some notable quotes from this speech. So let's dive into a few of those. One of my favorites, and I think one of your favorites, was, "I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell." Quite the thing to say to a room
Yeah.
full of world leaders, no?
Yes. Yeah, it's just like, wait, All of our countries? Because we all thought America was cool and stuff.
Every
Yeah,
single one of them. Every single one of them except America going to hell. That's really reaching across to hold hands with the whole rest of the world.
yeah.
Now he did talk a little bit of smack about London. So he said, and I have to say, I look at London where you have a terrible mayor, a terrible, terrible mayor, and it's been so changed, so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law, but you're in a different country. You can't do that. Matt, has Sharia law broken out over there? What's happening?
Well, thankfully not in my neighbourhood. Well, I say I haven't seen one instance of Sharia law. I've lived in London now
Okay.
for about 16 years,
Okay.
and on and off for, about 40 odd years. I've
Okay.
never seen a single instance of Sharia law. I really
Okay.
haven't. But there we go. Who knows? I mean, hey, if it gets more things for me. No, I've never seen an instance of that. And it's this bizarre thing. He obviously, well, I say he's obviously never been to London. He's never been to this part of London, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Certainly.
I
Yeah. How
I
bizarre.
do have to say though, Matt, I think you wearing a burqa could benefit you. On sunny
Shoot.
days, it'll help keep you from burning. So, that's something to think about. Something to think about.
Okay. Right. Okay. I'll look out for one.
So last week we talked about how Trump said that America had lost 300 million people to drug overdoses last year.
Yeah.
Again, population only 340 million, so that would be basically 88% of America wiped out, which doesn't seem like it happened. Now he did he's getting closer to the real number, which is 75,000. But the 300, it's stuck in his head. So he said, please be warned that we will blow you out of existence, which is so cheerful. That's what we're doing. We have no choice. Can't let it happen. I believe we lost 300,000 people last year to drugs, 300,000 fentanyl and other drugs. So, we're getting warmer. We're getting closer to the right number. But this was in reference to blowing up the Venezuelan boats with drugs to end them. So,
Yes.
I guess maybe don't boat anywhere near here anytime soon.
Extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. He also spoke, from what I understand, he said, we have one of the hottest countries anywhere in
Yes,
the world. But does he mean hot as in my daughter's hot sort of thing?
he
Or does he mean
does.
hot as in going to hell, which is, obviously what he's telling the rest of us is going to happen?
Or it could be hot from all of the coal burning that we're doing with the ozone and whatnot. So lots of different reasons, but all of them equally plausible for the
Yes.
the heat related remarks. Yeah. This one I thought was funny. He said, and by the way, speaking of crime, Washington, D.C. was the crime capital of America. Now after 12 days, it's a totally safe city. Everyone's going out to dinner, they're going out to restaurants. Your wife can walk down the middle of our street with or without you. He added, in Melania's case, without you.
Yes.
So the wives in D.C. have been liberated. It's great news. Great news.
Well done. Well done, that man. Any other quotes? Anything else? I mean, I can only imagine we could watch the whole thing in disbelief, but is there anything that particularly jumps out?
There's two more. So
Okay.
one more pertaining to the UK. So he gives Starmer a little bit of advice, which I'm sure Starmer badly needed.
Oh,
He
yes.
says,
Welcome.
and I hope the Prime Minister's listening because I told it to him 3 days in a row. That's all he heard. North Sea oil, North Sea, because I want to see them do well. I want to stop seeing them ruining that beautiful Scottish and English countryside with windmills and massive solar panels. So yeah, that's the answer. Drill, baby, drill. What do you think? You think Starmer's going to listen to him?
It's yeah, unlikely. Well, to a certain point, Starmer's also after, surviving his own premiership. So I suspect he might, do things to try and alleviate the energy prices. The biggest hike in the energy prices for a lot of British customers is down to the fact that we privatized our energy companies. They used to be publicly owned, but we privatized them. And like the water, these guys are making huge profits on it. The difference that eco-friendly energy and the pursuit of doing that makes is, I think, between about 5 or 7%, something like that, is fairly small. And you knock 7% off people's energy, and they're not really going to see it. In fact, I've just come back from my brother's house, and he's got energy panels. He's got solar panels on his roof and on the roof of his barn as well, on his garage, I beg your pardon. And he says it saves us so much money. He says this has already paid for itself. So there
Yeah.
you go.
I have solar panels as well, and I highly
Oh,
recommend them.
there we go. Well, you guys must be making a fortune off them. All the weather's like in Texas.
If only. We basically, part of the year, we don't basically have to pay an energy bill at all. In the summer, it's still so incredibly hot that we have to pay some, but it's way less than we used to have to, so.
And it's the way to
Uh,
go. I wouldn't mind them getting them on my house. Um, I have to say, as you say, Kale's surprise, right, that the Prime Minister went out of his way just a matter of days ago to look after this guy in the most extraordinary way, giving him a second state visit. No other president has had that.
uh-huh.
And, there we go. Throw it back in your face a matter of days later. He is
Right.
just a man, baby. There we go.
Exactly, exactly. You might as well not give him the cookie because he's just gonna want more cookies. So,
Okay.
the last quote, and this is my favorite from the speech, he if you'll remember during the campaign when he was debating and he was talking about how, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, and that moment kind of went viral. This is kind of the version 2.0 of that. So he says, in the United States, we have still radicalized environmentalists, and they want the factories to stop. Everything should stop. No more cows. We don't want cows anymore. I guess they want to kill all the cows. Yeah, so we've killed the dogs, we've killed the cats. Now we are killing all of the cows. I don't know what's going on right now.
No, no. To be fair, when you see the amount of, hamburgers, not hamburgers, beef burgers, whatever he eats, you just sit there and think, well, he's doing his fair a bit for eradicating cows, right? Isn't he really?
Very true. Very true.
So there was a BBC headline, actually, which read, the first time Trump addressed the UN during his first term, there was laughter. No one's laughing now. You're like, yeah, no shit. The first
Yeah.
time now, they're like, this guy, always with the jokes, eh? And then the second time, you're like, he's not joking, is he? You know?
Right. Right.
I mean, unhinged
Yes.
is a word that gets used a lot about this guy, and yet at the same time, not enough. It's also
Yes.
worth mentioning that I've got to get this right. Mahmoud Abbas, the Palestinian Prime Minister, nothing to do with Hamas, by the way. He has addressed the UN and said Hamas should also give up its weapons and release the hostages. You have to say that will make it virtually impossible for Israel to justify its continued assault on Gaza. Although, can anything justify it at the moment?
Yeah, looking at the pictures from over there, and nope, can't think of anything that would justify that. Doesn't make much sense,
Mm.
but we'll see if they listen to him. Guessing not. Now, another thing that was weird about the UN General Assembly this year is that the U.S. banned the Iranian delegation from shopping at Costco. So, Matt, have you ever been to a Costco? And if so, do you think having an Iranian delegation in there is a threat to national security?
I've never been to a Costco. If you can tell me what they sell, I can probably give you the equivalent over here.
The question is, what don't they sell?
Oh,
So here are some things that you can buy at Costco: milk, uh, a coffin, a computer, uh, flowers. They have literally everything. You can buy clothes at Costco. It's got a little bit of everything. It is what we call in America a big box store because
oh,
it is a big box with lots
right.
of stuff in it, and it's
That's
it's great, but it's pretty bizarre.
yeah. That's A. That's extraordinary, and B. No, we don't have a similar thing over here.
Okay.
You know, I was sitting there thinking maybe it's a bit like Matalan, because in Matalan you can buy bulk stuff, be it food or furniture or something like that, and it's fairly. These things are fairly huge, or
Yes.
just like a regular
So
supermarket. But no, it's
all
something else.
all the food there is like bulk food, so it is kind of like that. But and you
Okay.
can also buy furniture at Costco. So yes.
Maybe they thought all those special deals as well that Costco has, I imagine they have a lot, would help the Iranian economy too much, right? I mean, seriously, Angela, do you know why they did that? Do you know what was the thinking?
I believe the exact quote was, "We will not allow the Iranian regime to allow its clerical elites to have a shopping spree in the United States while they force their own people in Iran to endure poverty and dire shortages of basic needs." Now, that is pretty rich coming from an administration that's spending, like, they're building a $200 million ballroom while the unemployment rate is going up, like, so quickly. So, just, I don't know that they have a leg to stand on with that one.
Yeah, well, you say it's pretty rich, but to be fair, if you can afford a £200 million ballroom, I guess you are pretty rich. Although, also to be fair, America can't really afford it, can they?
Not if we want healthcare, no,
Yeah.
and it turns out that we don't. So, yeah. So
How about
that's
that?
it all works out. So Matt, one other thing that I wanted to talk about is Charlie Kirk's memorial service, which was this past weekend. It took place in a giant stadium, and all the who's who of Republicans were in attendance, including the president.
Uh-oh. Right. Okay. So when you say all the Republicans, were the ex-Republican presidents there?
No, just the current ones, the
Right.
MAGA Republicans. So.
Okay.
Now, the first thing that caught my attention was this clip where Charlie Kirk's crying widow comes out to a pyrotechnic display. I mean, I've never been to a funeral with pyrotechnics. Have you?
No, no, but I did figure that it wasn't going to be conventional.
That was a correct assumption. I don't understand why we would shoot sparks into this poor woman's crying face.
Yeah, yeah. It's like her coming out and everybody's got a gun and just shooting the gun in the air, sort of thing. It's just,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, that
strange.
that would be a bit on the nose. So then there's this clip where Donald Trump starts doing a little dance next to the
Wow,
grieving widow and this little
wow.
weird finger spinning thing. Like, do these people know where they are right now? This is a memorial service.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure he does.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Now, Erica Kirk said during her speech that she forgives her husband's murderer and said that we can't fight hate with more hate. And you know what? Massive respect to her for saying all that. That is a very Christian thing to do. And then Trump got up there and says something like, Charlie Kirk didn't hate his enemies, but I do. I hate them. Sorry, Erica. Really knows how to bring the country together.
Yeah. I mean, there's always a new low that you can go to. I mean,
Yes.
that was a Christian thing that Erica did. I may not have agreed, obviously, with her husband on anything, but it was a Christian thing to do. So many right wingers don't seem to get that, do they? So it's about forgiveness and loving your neighbor. I've no doubt Trump would consider Jesus a woke virtue signaler.
Yeah. I mean, I think if he were around when Jesus died, he'd have been like, yeah, shame what happened to Jesus.
Yeah.
This Golgotha place is nice, though. Could probably do with a few casinos, maybe a golf course.
Yeah, it's just he's obviously using it to reward himself, isn't he? Be it sort of votes or be it gold palaces or something. But when you look at so many parables and stuff that in the Bible that go against everything Trump stands for.
Yes, I believe the money changers temple bit might be of
Mm.
special relevance to him.
Yes, and the bit with the one chap with the splinter in his eye and the other chap with the plank in his eye. Oh, and the woman paid into the was it the charities? The after the men, you have these big businesses paying into the charities all this money. She comes along, she only gives a couple of coins, and Jesus said her contribution was more than those big, those businessmen.
Yes, all of these are things that I'm guessing he has never ever read.
Yeah,
Even though people have asked him like, "What's your favorite book?" and he's like, "The Bible."
yeah,
And then they're like, "Which part?" And he's like, "The whole thing. Whole thing's great." It's like,
you
got it.
you've not read that because the ending isn't great. The ending just, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a good ending for any of
Right,
us.
exactly. Speaking of the ending of the Bible, I don't know if you heard about this, but there is a thing on TikTok this week where everybody is talking about how the rapture is supposed to happen. I believe it was yesterday.
Oh,
Now, I haven't
missed
noticed
it.
any rapturing going on. Have you, over in
No,
Sharia law London, any rapturing happening?
I didn't, but to be fair, I was in the theater, so we may have all been spared. I don't know how that works.
All right. Well, if anybody got raptured, good luck.
Ooh,
And to those of
but
us who didn't, good luck as well.
before we go, and I'm back to the sport again. I'll tell you what is outrageous about me, because I do, I'm not a big sports fan. I think we've already covered that. But when it comes to the England team playing, I get ridiculously patriotic, but also get turn into this expert, which clearly I'm not, and start making comments about all sorts of nonsense. Anyway, good luck this weekend, the England women's rugby team, who are playing in the final, the England Rugby World Cup final. Yeah, honestly, the women are smashing it. It seems only like a few months ago that they won the Euros. Wait, it was only a few months ago. That was the football team. Obviously, this is the rugby team. But I looking this up, and I think 1991 was the first year that they had the Women's Rugby World Cup. And do you know the team that won the first ever Rugby World Cup, Andrea?
I'm going to go with Australia.
Would you like another go?
New Zealand?
If you're going to say South Africa next time, it wasn't. It was you guys, America.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know we
it's
played
mad. You
rugby.
get all this stuff that you've won all around the world and doing stuff, but I don't know, you're obsessing about baseball and things like that and calling that a World Series. You actually won a World Cup, the very first one.
I didn't know we had a rugby team. I'm very surprised.
There
I
you
didn't know
go.
we did that. What's next? Are we going to start playing cricket?
I'm sure there's an American cricket team. I could be wrong.
They should really pop their heads up and say hello. I've literally never heard of any of
Yeah.
this.
Anybody watching is a member of the American cricket team or knows somebody that's a member of the cricket team, get in touch. We could interview them.
That's right. Let's have them on our show and we can ask them all of the sports-related questions that have been buzzing around in our brains.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's a good idea.
All right. Well, that's all we have time for this week because we have to go read some more news because it's really piling up. For more from Matt, please visit his channel, The Interesting Times. The handle is right down there. Please do subscribe and also subscribe right here to get more news from the very boring US of A where nothing interesting ever happens. See you next time.
Bye-bye.